Hello, everyone, and welcome to Align, where we help you align with your true self, others, and your desired outcome to live your best life. So, I would say, especially after COVID, we're definitely seeing more and more people waking up to who they really want to be, how they want to live their life, and they're noticing more and more now that maybe my love life, my career, who I am, is not in the best shape that I want it to be. And so we're thankfully seeing therapy being normalized with all these amazing companies and the industries blowing up. We're also seeing coaching blowing up as well. But I would think, and Robert and I will get into it, but I feel people who know this world really understand it, love it, like they know it works, so they're obsessed. And the other side is people are interested, curious, but they don't know exactly how coaching would help them personally or, getting them towards their goals. So today, Robert and I are going to kind of walk you through what coaching is, what's the benefit of coaching, and most importantly, what are the top three areas we see a lot of our clients struggle with, especially after COVID, and some practical tricks and tips that you can use to apply to your life. So with further ado, Robert, welcome to Line.
Hey, Jessica, thank you so much for having me.
Love it. I was like, now that we're restarting a lot, I definitely wanted you to be my first guest because I think you have a very unique journey about coaching as well. I think we share a more organic way that we got into coaching. But first, would love for you to define coaching. What is it in your words?
Well, that's a great question. For me, it's pretty simple, right? It's forward-looking collaboration, right? So I know it's how can you design your life with the help of somebody else, right? Not necessarily looking into the past. I think that's the job of a therapist. I personally don't believe it's helpful to spend too much time in the past, especially if you have these desires that you want to move towards. So I think a coach is a great person, a great resource to challenge someone on what they truly want and help them design how to get there. They're not going to tell them how to get there, but they're going to act as a guide for them to focus on career, relationships, health, whatever it is important to that particular client.
Love it. You are so poetic. The first thing that you said, I was like, wow, that's exactly spot on. I would say another way that I explain it to give people like a comparison is think about a physical coach like a trainer, right? They basically train your body and your health. A coach is like a mental coach for you, essentially. So you're doing mental exercises to essentially what Robert said, get you to where you want to be. And another example is think of, any sports team that you love and you watch. They all have coaches. What's his or
Mhm.
her job? His or her job is to look at every single player and to see from a bird's eye view what's working and what's not working and how to pivot specific things. And these are, it could be your fears, it could be things that you're still traumatized by, it could be what you want going forward, it could be limiting beliefs, whatever is going on in the field. The coach sees everything, and then we're basically playing with these pieces to make sure you're getting to where you want to go and eventually scoring the goal, whether it be in your love life, your career, your self-confidence. It's essentially guide to get you where you want to be.
I think that's poetic, beautifully said.
Oh,
The only thing I
yeah.
would add from my
Mhm.
personal experience,
Yeah.
the greatest coaches are the ones who listen really well with every fabric of their being, not just with their ears. Because think about it, if I did nothing but show up for my client and ask good questions and listen, I've done my job, right? Because most of us don't have that space in our lives, whether it's our parents, our friends, to truly just be heard and seen. So getting these thoughts out of your head verbally, that in itself is hugely beneficial.
Yeah. And I think that's also your style too. And that I would say mine's quite similar, where we're not necessarily telling you what to do, right? We're literally giving you that space and that time to reflect on what do you want, right? And then maybe from what you want, we can kind of guide you towards how to get there. But we would never tell you who to be, what you should want. And it's like to your point, when you sit in silence and someone gives you the space you get the answers yourself. You're
Hmm.
usually running from point to point, being meeting to meeting, day to day, that you're not reflecting on what you actually want and who you really are. So
It's a tremendous gift.
I love that. Yes, listen. That's why I know that people always say this, but you have two ears, one mouth. Use it in that ratio, if not more. Would love to hear how you got into coaching.
Yeah, what's funny is people have always come to me, well before I was a coach, even like as a teenager, people would just call me or I'd meet a stranger and they'd tell me their life story. They'd be in tears within minutes. And I'm like, what's going on? And later in life, I realized I don't cut people off. I never really did. I tend to let people complete their thoughts and their sentences. And even if they're going through an emotion, I just allow it, right? So without judgment, too. So I don't intrude on people's space. And I think because of that, people feel safe and
Yes.
they would always come to me. So at one point, I said, I enjoy it. It doesn't drain me. I feel honored to be holding the space for people. Let me let me go get certified or go complete this course. And that was helpful. But the truth is, many of the things that I learned were just enhancements of what I think I did inherently well.
Yeah. Uh, could not have a more similar story or agree with you more about certifications, but we'll start with, how I also got into coaching. I became like the bearer of secrets. Like when I was very young in grade school, or like people and principal, parents, or students, my peers would be like, "How did you do that?" Or "How do you stay so happy even though you had to like, this specific thing happen to you? How do you, keep a studious mindset even though there's all these things we're juggling as we're trying to get into college, whatever it may be." That like to your point, I really felt honored to hear what people's inner thoughts were. And I've always loved psychology and understand what people makes them tick. And then throughout high school, people would say like, "Jeff, you should do this for a living. Like you should just do it." I was like, "What is this? Like Miss Hotline? You guys just call me for random things. I just listen. Like I don't understand what kind of career this is, right?" And then I saw a video. Well, I was divinely guided towards a video of Tony Robbins, and I was like, that's it. It was like clear. It was like a lightning struck me, right? So since then, when I went to college, that's when I started monetizing my gift. When people were like, "How'd you do this? How did you maintain your grades?" And you're literally coming back home from the clubs at 4 a.m. Like you're two different people, but you're still happy and you manage all these things. So I think since college, I started monetizing my gift, and it was really just a referral network that I built out my clients, similar to you, right? As I built my finance career, I mean, given what I do in business development, similar to what you do in sales, right? We meet investors all the time. We meet clients all the time. We're out and about. We're more like we have to be. We don't have to be. I think you and I are naturally more people persons, so to speak. So it just became an organic growth. But I would say when COVID hit in 2020, I knew the mental impact of COVID was going to be way worse than the physical impact. And it was just burning inner calling to say, "Jeff, you got to be more out there. Like, no more hiding, no more doing behind the scenes. You have to be more upfront and help more people." That's when I started Align and like put myself out there and say, like, "Hey, yes, I'm in finance, but I also have been doing coaching for at the time over 10 years." So, very similar journeys. We hold space, we listen, and I think people who are naturally 2 point coaches, of course, we study from different modules, different practices. We study from therapists. We'll look at like hypnosis. There's so many different practices. But ultimately, there's a natural gift within us that can do this. And the most important thing, tell me if you agree, is we need to know when to apply what. It's like a team, like a coach for a team, right? He needs to know like what play they're going to decide, who's going to play and who's going to come out, right? So it's not like we follow things by the book because that's not how it works. It's more about flowing and feeling the energy. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. A lot of this is intuitive, right? Because we're all different and we're all motivated in different ways. We all figure things out for our lives in different ways, right?
Okay.
So we have to be fluid. And I think that's why a lot of these courses, as good as they are, you're still never going to adopt their philosophy 100%.
Yep.
You're going to take what resonates, you're going to leave what doesn't, and you're going to create your own style.
Yep. 100%. 100%. And so let's dive in to, I would say, the three most common areas that people have been asking for coaching, want more guidance in. And just like Robin and I just described, coaching is super personalized, right? Like the way you coach me would be very different way you coach another person, right? So I would say take these tips and tricks as a more general, overarching things to keep in mind. But for a really effective way of handling whatever you're going through, it has to be a more personalized journey with coach. And I would say also need to find a coach that you resonate with, right? Everyone's style is different, as we mentioned. You'll know when you feel safe, as Robert was mentioning, in someone's presence, and you just kind of learn and you want to share. I think that's a really good sign that you probably found a coach that you would work with you. And secondly, is look at how the coach lives and how they like literally conduct their life. Is it the life that you would want? Like, do you feel like they're a person of integrity, person of a high character? Like, are they someone that you want to embody in a way? So I would say those are kind of two things to keep in mind when you're looking for a coach. But Robert, what else makes for a good like client coach match?
Well, I think, like you said earlier, everybody has a different gift and a different skill set. And of course, a different energy that's going to resonate or not resonate with you.
Yes.
But I believe a good coach should not be too broad. When I first started in the industry, I was like, oh, I'll help people with everything. And it's like, well, hold on, let me take inventory of who I am
Yep.
and what's my niche. And I'm very much a spiritual person. I kind of understand things intuitively that in the, let's call it, unseen world. So my coaching practice went from practicality, let's help you meet your goals, X, Y, and Z, to okay, let's help you find out who you really are and why you're here on a very deep spiritual level.
Yep. Definitely. So I would say the first thing that we want to touch upon was lifestyle and alignment. So,
Mm.
um, Robert, do you want to dive a little bit into like what are some common themes that you're seeing or people are struggling with?
Yeah, right. So I think the first main theme that I see, and I'm sure you probably see the same, Jessica, is relationships, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is why we're here, our great lesson in life. So when you talk about alignment, what I see is, everyone craves love. Many of us have a hard time attracting the love that we truly desire, right? So why is that? My feeling is it's alignment. A lot of times we're out of alignment, we're stuck in a pattern, we're
Mhm.
holding on to past trauma, we're living a lifestyle that's not conducive to what we want in a partner. For example, I remember being in Toronto at Italy, the same Italy that's in New York City is actually in Toronto. It was Valentine's Day. I was up there on business. I was by myself. I went to this bar in Italy and I said to the bartender, can you give me a piece of paper and a pen? Which I do pretty often if I'm by myself. And I said, okay, it's Valentine's Day. I'm by myself. What do I want in a partner? It's a perfect day to think about this. And I just went through it, free association. I wrote this long list. And then I went back to the list and I said, okay, do I embody these things that I'm looking for? And I checked every one except one.
Mhm.
And I wrote, I want a woman to hold her body sacredly, to hold sex sacredly.
Mhm.
I wasn't doing that. I wasn't. So I said, well, how could I expect that if I'm out of alignment, in my personal opinion, for this thing that I wanted? So what did I do? Over time, I had to go through it. Over time, I got into alignment with it, right? I didn't have to force myself to get into alignment. That craving, that deeper desire of love connected to my sexuality became a priority. And that kind of led to a period of celibacy, which was totally fine, right? So I think that's something I see a lot with women and men. They're like, I want this perfect partner, let's say, and nobody's perfect, but I want this type of partner. But I myself am living kind of a debaucherous life.
Yep.
I'm not, it's like the law of attraction is real. Let's
Yes.
make that clear. You attract what you are, not what you want. So that's what I mean by lifestyle and alignment. We have to walk the path. On the path is the partner that we truly desire in our deepest core of our hearts. But sometimes we get off the path, and that's okay. We just have to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah. 100%. I would say, and it's kind of bleeding into the next area that people really want to work on. It's do you know who you really are
Mm.
in your essence, right? Before you go seek it out of, I want this in a partner, they're going to make me happy. I hate to say this to you, but like no one's going to make you happy if there's no self love. Hard stop, right? So I would say first thing is to the whole point about alignment and your lifestyle. Are you proud of the lifestyle that you live? Are you proud of the decisions that you make? Are you proud of like who you work for, who your friends are? Literally do an audit of your
Mm.
life, right? I think that's super important in terms of lifestyle and alignment. And it kind of bleeds into, as I mentioned, second area is love life, right? You see a lot of divorce, you see breakups, people, like you said, wanting to settle down now. No, they understand the importance of a relationship. So they've done a study, the longest happiness study conducted by Harvard, that started in 1930s. And they found the secret to happiness and health was connection with relationships, right? When you feel connected as a human, your immunity goes up. It actually causes your healthy genes to be turned on and the unhealthy ones to be turned off. And your immune system actually is stronger when you have healthy relationships. So obviously there's many benefits beyond. People always think like, why do we always search for love? Why do we want it? There's literally health and survival benefits to it. So with that said, would love to hear whether it be some stories or areas that you've seen that people are struggling with, and or tips and tricks on how people can find that alignment and figure out what would be a good partner for them.
Yeah, good question. I think it's exactly what you said, right? Know who you are. Are you willing? I see this so often. You get divorced, a woman or a man gets divorced, or they get out of a relationship, and they often get right back into another relationship, right?
Mhm.
And not that that can't work, but I think it's pretty seldom because we do have to allow ourselves to heal. We have to allow ourselves to reflect.
Mhm.
We have to allow ourselves to evolve and grow beyond the quality of that relationship because obviously it didn't work out for a reason. So the question becomes, are you willing to spend time with yourself? Are you willing to get to know yourself? Are you willing to learn to love yourself fully? Right? Really, because it's an inner process. Everything we see, I see a lot of people, a lot, say, my ex-boyfriend was a narcissist. All my exes were narcissists. These words get thrown around. We're all corner store therapists now, right? We're just
Yeah.
labeling people. If everybody's a narcissist that you've dated, you're the common denominator.
Mhm.
We're always the common denominator. These people come into our lives, as we said, we attract what we are. So even if we're not a narcissist, why are we attracting narcissists? What is it in us that allows that, that tolerates that, that magnetizes that? So if we want to course correct and we want to find the love of our lives, we first have to be the love of our lives.
I love that. So funny. So I would say I don't even know how many years ago this was. Maybe like 7 years ago. Like shocking breakup, blah blah blah. To your point, I was like, well, the common denominator is me. So what did I do? I literally wrote out all my exes, all the qualities, what went wrong, and take accountability. What did I contribute to that relationship, right? And to the people, listen, even if you genuinely dated narcissists, why were you attracted to them? Right? Were your boundaries not firm enough? Did you keep making excuses for them? Did you turn a blind eye when you knew time and time again that it's probably not right? And whether you're dealing with the internal clock or whatever it may be, that you just try to force it to make it work. You got to take accountability, right? I think that's number one. I totally agree with you. The other thing you mentioned is like knowing yourself, being you. Another area that I help some of my clients with is their dating profiles. I look
Mm,
at them, I'm like, this is not you. This is not who you are. It's not your passions. Like you are so flashy and crazy on your profile to try to track your dream girl, and you're wondering why you're attracting gold diggers, right?
yes.
So you need to be mindful of what you put out, right? So I would say
Yes.
people on the apps, listen, it's another sourcing channel. That's how I see it, right? If you're on the apps, be authentically you. Your friends should not be shocked when they look at your profile and be like, that's you. They should be like, oh yeah, that's Robert, that's Jess, to the core, right? I think to your point, we attract who we are, but we also attract on the dating profiles what we put out. So be mindful of that. Anything else you think on the love life, but any tips and tricks you would want to share, Robert?
No, I think the last point you made is so important, right? Because everyone is so easily triggered these days.
Oh yeah.
Don't tell me what to wear. I can wear whatever I want, right?
Yeah.
And or like women will say that, and men, like you said, hanging out, posing in front of someone else's Ferrari, right? The bottom line is this: if you're a man and you lead with money, you're going to attract women that prioritize money.
Yep.
If you're a woman and you lead with your body, you're going to magnetize men that prioritize sex.
Yes.
Period. Right? Doesn't mean you can't be sexy, but there's kind of a way of it's all energetic. Our style, our clothing, our essence, it's all energetic. So
Yep.
yeah, if you're on a profile, online dating, be as genuine as possible. On my when I was online dating, it literally said, "What's something that's important to you?" I said, "God is very important to me." So some people would be like, "Yeah, okay, that's not for me, right? I'm not really a God person."
Yeah.
And then other women are going to go, exactly what I'm looking for in a man. Someone that prioritizes God. Why would I be shy about that? Why would I lie about that? Right? I want something deep. I am deep. This is who I am. I'm a spiritual, meditative guy. So I'll likely do better with a woman that's a spiritual, meditative woman.
Agreed. 100% agree. And one thing I would add about just the dating, if you're out there trying to find the, love of your life or be more, track potential suitors, every moment you step outside of your home is an opportunity to meet somebody, right? So, or you're buried on your phone when you're walking, or do you have open body language, you're making eye contact, no one's going to freak out if you look at them and smile. Like if they do, that's their problem, not yours, right? I meet so many people at the gym, at the pool, on the streets. Like the bars and the clubs are on, as we know, not the best place to meet a potential suitor. When you're going grocery shopping, there might be like the love of your life standing next to you, right? So I would say be open. Talking to strangers, you never know. It could be a perfect stranger. Maybe you go to one of their events and their friend of a friend becomes the love of your life. You never know. Just be more open. We're all dying for connection, especially after COVID. Be open to how you might meet this person. So
Hmm.
keep your mind.
Yeah.
And then obviously everyone cares about their career and people are worried because they want to pivot. They're not happy. They're exhausted. They feel like they're not appreciated. They're not valued. What are some of your thoughts on how people can be more intentional with their career, um, and build a career they actually want?
Yeah, as cliche as it sounds, you got to do something that you enjoy. Otherwise, it's only a matter of time before you're going to hit a dead end, right? So, first off, find something that you at least enjoy somewhat and you're good at it. I know what it's like to do neither of those things, right? So, that's number one. If you could bring, and the other thing is this, I'm thankfully and I'm successful in life from a financial perspective. I know that's not the only sign of success, but I have to say, I told this to my friend the other day. We're sales guys, right? Okay, I sell cybersecurity technology. I said, we talk about money too much. He's like, what do you mean, man? That's why we're here. I'm like, no, it's not why we're here. It's really not. Money is a byproduct of doing your job well and doing something that you enjoy. If you could tie it to a deeper purpose, money will flow so aggressively you won't know what to do with it. You'll find I found $90 on the street yesterday walking my dog. That's how it happens because you're paying it forward. You're tethering that income. Let's say you have a side hustle.
Yeah.
If your side hustle is life coaching or whatever, helping people, and you're using the money that you make in your day job to fuel this deep purpose, it's going to keep coming.
Yeah.
That's how it works. It's called cash flow for a reason. It comes in, it goes out, you use it for a good purpose. The minute you start saying, you know what, I'm miserable, so I'm going to use this money to buy a car or I'm going to go to travel the world, there's nothing wrong with that. But you really got to ask yourself, is this making you happy? Because what I'm seeing in New York City, Jessica, is a lot of women, men too, that they made it to the top and they've spent 15 years getting there and their relationships have taken a hit as a result
Mhm.
and they are not happy.
Mhm.
They are not happy. They have the money, they have the status, they have the power, they check the box. But what did you sacrifice by getting to the top of the mountain? Ultimately, it won't fulfill you. It has to be deeper.
Yeah. I could not agree more. I think guys over 50 that I coach, the number one priority is lack of love. Gave everything
Hmm.
in their career, don't know how to find the right person. Divorced or not, it doesn't matter. Or maybe they've been single their whole life. I couldn't agree more. I would say to your point about, you know, when you're good at what you do and that gift, I always tell my clients, like, every person has a gift. Like, there's a reason why you're here. You're spiritual, you believe in God or not, right? You have a gift. Your job is to find that out and harness it. That is your job. And guess what? When you can find a way to monetize it, whether you figure it out on your own or you work with a business coach, that's the power. That's cash flow, right? And we're so lucky that we live in a generation where you can make money making like cooking videos, like seven-figure money making cooking videos. You could travel for free, right? Like there's so many things that you can do. Don't limit yourself. We're very blessed to be in this age, and people who are living in the States, for example, it is a creator economy. So I just encourage people to be a little bit more creative. If you're feeling stuck in your career, I would say sit in stillness, meditate, be honest. Like, what's not working? Is it the lack of meaning? Is it the lack of purpose? If so, figure out your gift and find a way to monetize it. So
Yes, and very important. Don't sell your soul. Don't sell your soul. Like you said, the 50-year-old man who's got it all, but his relationships are a disaster. He doesn't see his kids, whatever. The woman who's like, oh, I can make this money in private doing OnlyFans. No judgment. But if it's in contrast to your soul, be very careful.
I agree. To not agree more. Robert, we always end this with, what is your gift? What do you think your gift is?
My heart,
God bless you.
my
That's a
heart.
wrap. That was easy. Awesome. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you, Jessica. This was a real pleasure.